I never thought I'd be the kind of man who sets his past on fire. And yet, there I stood, staring at the flames consuming everything I once cherished. But let's start from the beginning. The moment I realized my marriage was nothing but a beautifully crafted lie, something inside me shattered beyond repair. 8 years. 8 years of love, trust, and devotion, reduced to ashes in a single night. I had my suspicions, of course. No marriage is perfect. I had noticed the late nights, the distant stares, the way she sometimes recoiled from my touch, as if she was hiding something. But never, in my worst nightmares, did I think Elena would betray me like this. Not just once. Not just twice. 3 times. And the worst part? The man she did it with. Victor. The one man I had always hated. I wasn't just heartbroken. I wasn't just furious. I was ready to ruin them both. Elena and I had been married for 8 years, but our story started much earlier than that. We met in college, back when I was just a guy with big dreams and a cheap apartment in Seattle, Washington. She was everything I had ever wanted, intelligent, confident, effortlessly charming. I fought hard to win her over, and when I finally did, I thought I had won life itself. But there was always one shadow hanging over us. Victor. Back in college, during a rough patch in our relationship, Victor swooped in like a vulture circling fresh prey. He had everything I despised: wealth, a golden reputation, and a smug confidence that came from never having to struggle for anything in life. For a brief moment, Elena had fallen for him. But then, she came back to me. Told me she loved me. Told me I was the one she wanted to build a future with. Like a fool, I believed her. The night my world came crashing down started with something mundane. A simple argument. Elena had been obsessed with redecorating our living room, insisting that our furniture was outdated and dull. But we just bought it a few years ago, I argued. We spent thousands of dollars, why the hell do you suddenly want to throw it all out? Her expression hardened. Because I'm sick of looking at it. I folded my arms. What else are you sick of, Elena? Me? The second the words left my mouth, I saw it. A flicker in her eyes. Guilt. Regret. And something worse. A challenge. Maybe I should be, she shot back. Maybe then you'd finally appreciate what you have before you lose it. My stomach twisted. And then she said it. Maybe I should have married Victor instead. That was it. That was the moment I snapped. Go to hell. And take him with you, I spat, grabbing my keys and storming out. I drove through the city, anger surging through my veins like wildfire. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I needed to get away. But the more I thought about her words, the more my rage burned. After an hour of aimless driving, I pulled into a bar, ordered a drink, and tried to drown the storm raging inside me. Then my phone rang. It was Elena. I let it go to voicemail. I wasn't ready to deal with her just yet. But something about the way she spoke in the message made my blood run cold. Daniel, I'm sorry. I guess you don't care enough to answer, but I just wanted to say. I don't know. Since you're not coming home, I think I'll go for a walk. See you later. Her voice wasn't angry. It wasn't even sad. It was final. A shiver crawled down my spine. Something was wrong. I had to find her. I searched every bar in town, looking for her car, but it was nowhere in sight. Then, suddenly, it hit me. Isla. Her best friend. If Elena wasn't home, and she wasn't out wandering the city aimlessly, there was only one place she could be. I pulled up outside Isla and James' house, and sure enough, Elena's car was parked outside. James, Isla's husband, opened the door. Daniel? His brows lifted. You okay, man? Heard you and Elena had a fight. Where is she? I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. James hesitated. They, went out. Where? He sighed. Isla said they started at Grant's Tavern, then were bar hopping. Grant's. I knew the place. Without another word, I turned and left. I followed their path across the city, stopping at every bar Isla and Elena had been to, waiting, watching. Then, at Carter's Lounge, I found them. And that's when my world collapsed. She wasn't alone. He was with her. Victor. Sitting across from her in a dimly lit booth, heads leaning in close, laughing like they were in their own private world. And then I heard her say it. You know I love him, Victor, but sometimes, when he makes me feel like this, I need to remind him that he's not the one in control. My pulse pounded in my ears. Victor smirked. You and Daniel broke up once, and I had you then. I've had you twice since you married him. And tonight? He leaned closer. I'd love to have you again. My fists clenched so tightly my knuckles turned white. My breath came in short, sharp bursts. She had done this before. Twice. And she was about to do it again. I wanted to storm over there, grab her by the wrist, and force her to face what she had done. But that wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted revenge. I followed them as they left the bar and made their way to the Westbridge Hotel. I parked outside, my heartbeat a thunderous drum in my chest. I could end it right now. I could storm in there, drag them both out into the street, and expose them in front of everyone. But no. That wasn't enough. They needed to feel this the way I did. They needed to lose everything. I walked into the lobby and approached the front desk. Can you connect me to Victor Bennett's room? The receptionist hesitated, but after a little feigned drunkenness, she dialed the room number for me. After 3 rings, he answered. Who the hell is calling this late? He barked. Slurring my words, I muttered, room 217. No, it's 405, idiot. He had just given me exactly what I needed. I hung up and made my way toward the elevators. I stood outside room 405, listening. Inside, I heard them. Laughter. Muffled whispers. The unmistakable sound of my wife betraying me again. I saw red. Without thinking, I kicked the door in, the flimsy chain lock snapping like it was made of paper. And there she was. Exposed. Victor barely had time to react before I drove my fist into his face, sending him crashing into the nightstand. Elena screamed. I turned to her, my voice dangerously calm. You're not coming home tonight. She sobbed. Begged. But I didn't care. I was just getting started. I didn't stick around to hear her pathetic excuses. I walked out of that hotel room like a man reborn. Because I wasn't just going to walk away from this. I wasn't going to let them win. I was about to become their worst nightmare. As I drove home, my hands clenched around the steering wheel, my knuckles still sore from the impact of Victor's face. But the pain didn't matter. The anger didn't matter. What mattered was what came next. Elena and Victor weren't just going to get away with this. I wasn't going to be the heartbroken husband who slinked away in silence. No. They needed to feel this. They needed to lose everything. Just like I had. When I got home, I wasted no time. I tore through our house like a storm, ripping down every framed photo of us, gathering every letter, every anniversary card, every little trinket that once held meaning. All of it. I dragged the boxes out onto the front lawn. Then I grabbed a can of lighter fluid. The flames roared to life, consuming every trace of the life we had built together. By the time the fire department arrived, everything was already reduced to ash. And Elena? She was about to see just how far I was willing to go. By morning, the whole city of Seattle was whispering about what I had done. I didn't care. Let them talk. Let them watch. They had no idea what was coming next. And right on cue, she showed up. A black car pulled up, and the door opened. First, Isla. Then Elena. She stepped out hesitantly, her face pale, her eyes swollen from crying. She looked at the charred remains of our past, then at me. Her lips trembled. Daniel. I turned to her, my expression blank. You win, I said coldly. She blinked. What? I heard you tell Victor you never wanted me to win. Well, congratulations, Elena. This is what winning looks like. Tears welled up in her eyes. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I could have walked away. I could have handed her the divorce papers and moved on. But that would have been too easy. I wanted her to suffer. I wanted both of them to suffer. So I played my next move carefully. I'm giving you two options, I said. She swallowed hard. What do you mean? You can sign the divorce papers, pack your things, and disappear from my life. Her lip quivered. And the second option? I stepped closer, my voice dangerously low. You stay. And I make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. Every betrayal. Every dirty detail. I will burn your entire reputation to the ground. She froze. Victor was a public figure. His business relied on his spotless image. And Elena? She had spent years building a carefully crafted reputation, charming, poised, the perfect wife. And now? She knew what was at stake. She was trapped. While Elena was scrambling to decide her fate, I set my sights on my second target. Victor. He thought he could slink back into his cushy life, untouched. He thought this was just another affair. He was wrong. I started with his wife. Oh yeah, Victor was married. And I made sure she found out everything. The late-night hotel visits. The secret bar meetings. The way he used my wife to fuel his ego. Within days, his life fell apart. His wife left him. Took half his money. His business partners started asking questions. And then, the final blow, his company's board forced him to step down. He had gone from golden boy to nothing in less than a week. And that? That was just the beginning. While Victor was drowning in public humiliation, I made sure Elena was still suffering. She tried to come crawling back. Daniel, I was stupid, I was angry, shut up. She flinched. You weren't stupid, I said. You were selfish. You didn't think I'd ever find out. And now? Now you're just scared. She looked down, ashamed. Good. But shame wasn't enough. I needed her to feel it. To live with it. Every single day. And that's when I came up with my final act of revenge. Elena thought she could fix this. She thought she could win me back. She thought if she played her cards right, she could get a second chance. So I let her believe it. I let her think I was still hurt. Still conflicted. I played the perfect role, the broken-hearted husband. Let her see glimpses of the love we once had. Let her believe that maybe, just maybe, I was willing to forgive her. And when she was finally desperate enough to hope, I ripped it all away. I could never love you again, I whispered. You killed the best parts of me. Her face crumbled. And just like that, I won. Revenge wasn't just about destroying them. It was about making them live in the ruins of their own choices. I wasn't simply moving on. That would have been mercy. And neither of them deserved mercy. Victor had lost everything, his wife, his job, his reputation. I made sure of that. He tried to slip away quietly, thinking he could escape the consequences. But Elena? She was different. She still thought she had a chance. A chance at redemption. A chance at me. I let her believe it. Because Elena always convinced herself of whatever suited her best. She called me, every single day. Daniel, can we talk? I made a mistake, but I know we can fix this. I never answered right away. I made her wait. I made her doubt. And just when I could feel her slipping into despair, I gave her hope. I responded. But never fully. She wanted warmth. I gave her cold indifference. She wanted love. I gave her silence. She wanted me to say I missed her. I let the words linger, just long enough for her to hope. And then? I crushed it. Weeks passed like this. Elena, desperate, kept trying. She left voicemails. She sent letters. She even showed up at places she knew I'd be. And finally, when I knew she was at her weakest, I let her in. One evening, she showed up at my door. Her eyes were tired. Her face pale. Her usual arrogance, gone. Can we talk? She pleaded. I let her inside. She looked around as if searching for remnants of our life together. But the house? Empty. Every photo. Every reminder of her. Gone. Still, she smiled weakly. You haven't changed anything, she whispered, like she was grasping for hope. I let her believe whatever she wanted. I poured us both drinks. I played the long game. And for the first time in months, she thought she was winning me back. She had no idea. She was about to fall into the final trap. I let her feel comfortable. Let her think we were having an honest conversation. And then, I looked her in the eye. Maybe we should try again, I said. The hope in her eyes? It was almost pathetic. You mean it? She whispered, barely daring to breathe. I nodded. Watching her face transform, relief. Joy. Happiness. And then? I struck the final blow. But first, there's something I need you to do for me. Her expression faltered. What is it? I want a fresh start, I said smoothly. But I can't do that if Victor's shadow is still hanging over me. She swallowed hard. I leaned in. I need you to make a statement. Publicly. She frowned. What kind of statement? I need you to tell the world what he did. She hesitated. It was the final test. If she truly regretted what she did, if she truly loved me, she would throw Victor under the bus without a second thought. And she did. A week later, the internet exploded with her confession. She posted a video. Tears streaming down her face. Voice trembling. I made a mistake, she sobbed. I let Victor manipulate me. I thought I was making my own choices, but he took advantage of my weaknesses. She painted him as the villain. His reputation was obliterated. His business collapsed overnight. His family disowned him. Victor Bennett had officially become a disgrace. And Elena? She thought she had won me back. She thought she had finally redeemed herself. So that night, I invited her over. One final dinner. She arrived hopeful. Dressed up. Smiling like this was the start of something new. She sat across from me, her eyes full of love. And that's when I delivered the final dagger. You did everything I asked, I said. Her eyes lit up. So, does that mean? I smiled. Cruel. Cold. It means, I said slowly, that now. I never have to see you again. Her face dropped. Confusion. Then horror. Wait, but you thought this was about love? I laughed darkly. This was about revenge. She gasped. And then, I stood. You lost, Elena. And I walked out of my own house, leaving her alone. With nothing. She tried calling. I never answered. She tried showing up at my door. I never let her in. She begged. She cried. She even tried dating again. But she was damaged goods now. No one wanted her. She had burned every bridge. Destroyed every chance at happiness. And as for Victor? No one even knew where he was anymore. But I wasn't done. Not yet. A few weeks passed. Then, one morning, I woke up to find a handwritten letter on my doorstep. I knew it was from her before I even picked it up. Daniel, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I don't know what else to do. Everyone has abandoned me. I lost everything, my job, my friends, my family. I just need one person to care. Just one. I'll do anything. Please, just talk to me. I love you. Elena. I stared at the letter for a long time. Then, I tore it in half. And threw it in the trash. For weeks, I didn't hear a word about Victor. It was almost as if he had vanished. And then, I got a call from an old friend. Hey, Daniel. You won't believe this, he said, barely containing his laughter. Guess who just got arrested? My heart pounded. Oh? I asked. Victor Bennett. Turns out, Victor had been embezzling millions from his company. Once his reputation crumbled, people started digging into his past. And what they found? Pure gold. Enough evidence to put him away for a very, very long time. His mugshot was plastered across every news site. His name dragged through the dirt. His life, over. And me? I stood on my balcony, staring at the city below. Feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Elena was a ghost. Victor was rotting in a cell. And for the first time in my life, I smiled. Because this wasn't just revenge. This was justice. And it was perfect.